Happy Saturday, everyone. Hope you're having a great weekend. It's Rod with the Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Saturday, May 7th, and in this short video, going to be discussing the time Microsoft saved Apple from bankruptcy, and that was in 1997. Going to go over an article as this resurfaced a couple of days ago. I can't remember which news company recycled this, but a lot of people, I was surprised by how many people actually didn't know that this occurred. And let me know in the comments below if this is new to you or did you already know about it. Always love hearing from you. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, it helps support me in the channel, and you can tick the bell and you'll be notified on any future updates. Taking a look at the article from 1997, there was a CNBC article covering it, and there was also a Medium article. But we'll take a look at the CNBC article. And the title reads, "When Microsoft Saved Apple, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates Show Eliminating Competition Isn't the Only Way to Win." And this reminded me a lot of the MJ space, and I wanted to come on here and, I've been saying for a while now that the best companies work with the best companies, and this was true back in the early days of the internet, before the dot-com bubble boom and bust. And I know for sure there's going to be somebody on this video who says you can't compare MJ to Apple or to Amazon or crypto or something like that, right? There's always that one outlier who says you can't compare something to something, but all we're doing is comparing trends and how the market works, right? These deals and these partnerships, they don't just happen in, you don't just see people bailing out companies in one particular industry or, one particular trend in one particular industry, right? All we're looking at is trends and how the market works. And the more you understand how the market works, the better off you'll be as a long-term investor, in my opinion. So it goes on to talk about how they had a friendship. The relationship happened 20 years ago. In August of 1997, Bill Gates stepped in and saved Apple, which at the time was on the brink of bankruptcy. "Bill, thank you. The world's a better place," Jobs told Gates after Microsoft exec agreed to make a $150 million investment in Apple. And again, this just reminded me of when Tilray announced a $193 million investment into HEXO and a financial and commercial partnership. And it just goes to show you that the best companies work with the best companies, and eliminating the competition isn't the only way to win. And actually, Tilray CEO Irwin Simon actually stated that it would actually be bad for Tilray and the MJ industry if a company like a leading market share company, number one position like HEXO, were to go under. And there was just a BNN Bloomberg article that I posted this morning that HEXO is still in number one position in Canada in terms of some of the data that just got released. So again, this has happened before. It'll happen again. And exactly what the title says, you can't just get rid of the competition and win. It's not that easy. And it goes on to talk about a little bit more about it and why it's not the best just to eliminate competition. At the time, the quote was memorialized of the cover of Time magazine was recently resurfaced by Code Academy on the online coding school's Twitter feed. The corporate olive branch shocked the tech and business communities. Even in the cyberspace, the moment can only be described as surreal, the New York Times opinion section wrote in the wake of the deal. 10 years later, when the iconic tech leaders met on stage at the D5 Tech Conference, interviewed by Kara Swisher and Walt Mossberg, they reflected on their coming together, and they were sitting on stage there at that conference. So obviously a great friendship there. We know Bill Gates has a big relationship with Warren Buffett. And remember, like, all these things are intertwined together, right? The whole market is essentially in on it together. And that's why us retail investors need to be aware of these things, and we need to compare these things because they're very similar. And it's a lot of the same puppet masters that are pulling the strings, right? These are just whales and financial institutions and companies with heavy dollar values and portfolios that they can really move the market, right? And they can save the market too if they want. Case in point, if you get enough money, like Bill Gates, you can step in and save Apple, right? Apple was in very serious trouble, said Jobs. And what was really clear was that if the game was a zero-sum game where for Apple to win, Microsoft had to lose. Then Apple was going to lose. There was too many people at Apple and the Apple ecosystem playing that game, he explained. And it was clear that you didn't have to play that game because Apple wasn't going to beat Microsoft. Apple didn't have to beat Microsoft, though. Apple had to remember who Apple was because they'd forgotten who Apple was. So, again, what does this remind you of? Tilray's not really the same type of business model as HEXO, right? HEXO can be HEXO and Tilray can be Tilray, right? Tilray's got a bunch of revenue from actual alcohol sales, whereas HEXO's an MJ-centric manufacturing products company, right? Strictly no retail, no alcohol, none of that. So it's just two very different business models. And I think a similar thing can be said with Apple and Microsoft back in the day, like they just mentioned. To stay alive, Jobs had to step outside the competitive mindset. And again, what are we working here? We're working on synergies and working together. HEXO is going to be developing products for Tilray. So again, getting into that competitive mindset. To me, it was pretty essential to break that paradigm, says Jobs. And it was also important, Microsoft was the biggest software developer outside of Apple developing for the Mac. So it was just crazy what was happening at that time. And Apple was very weak. And so I called Bill up and we tried to patch things up, right? The best work with the best. And if you have two friendly parties, right? And I think Tilray and HEXO, very good example of two friendly parties. The two founders did just that. Through their partnership, met with resistance when Jobs announced $150 million investment at the Macworld Boston conference in 1997. And again, the partnership met with resistance. I bet you a lot of people thought back then that Apple was going to get acquired by Microsoft. But today, that's not the case. So does that mean Tilray may not acquire HEXO? They could potentially convert into a 35% ownership, but Tilray and Irwin Simon, the CEO of Tilray, have stated at least 3 times now that HEXO will remain independent and a standalone company. And again, looking back, it's kind of just a similar situation. They're two separate companies today, Apple and Microsoft. So again, I'm of the thinking that Tilray won't buy HEXO, but if they do, I don't think it'll be for a few years. For Microsoft, the investment meant propping up one of its greatest competitors, but it was also a new business opportunity. Also, Tilray gets ownership in HEXO. Not only do they collect about $20 million in fees from the interest, they're also going to benefit from the share price appreciation of HEXO. Again, it's very, very similar. It's a new business opportunity for Tilray. That's worked out very well, says Gates at the 2007 conference. In fact, every couple of years or so, there's been something new that we've been able to do on the Mac, and it's been great business for us. Also, as part of the deal, Apple agreed to drop a lawsuit accusing Microsoft of copying its operating system. At the time Microsoft saved Apple, Microsoft was far and away the larger of the two companies. That standing has since flipped. Apple's market capitalization is $839 billion, and Microsoft's is $560 billion. We know it's in the trillions now, they breached the $1 trillion club. This is a pretty dated article. I think it was back in when was this? It was back in 2017. Yeah, that's what I thought. So the 1997 deal didn't end the competition between the two tech companies. Rather, they went on to, in lockstep, shaping the computing industry together. Today, it's a little known and story of the tech that still shows that cooperation can work hand in hand with competition. So again, I think this is a great thing for MJ as a whole, Tilray and HEXO. When Jobs died in 2011, Gates honored the Apple icon as both competitor and friend. Steve and I first met nearly 30 years ago, and have been colleagues, competitors, and friends over the course of more than half our lives, Gates wrote. The world rarely sees someone who has had the profound impact Steve has had, the effects of which will be felt for many generations to come. For those of us lucky enough to get to work with him, it's been an insanely great honor. I will miss him immensely. And rest in peace, Steve Jobs, but very, very touching article and just really puts things into perspective, right? I'm all about putting things into perspective and making the most sense of things. Something I'll bring up as well is Elon Musk said Tesla was about a month away from bankruptcy during the Model 3 ramp. So again, not all these companies, these great companies had sunshine and rainbows. Everybody thinks Tesla's a no-brainer now. And when I was saying they were awesome 3 years ago, like back here in 2017, Tesla keeps losing money, CNBC says. I remember this article like it was yesterday. So why is it worth more than Ford? And at first glance, it doesn't make any sense, right? And then there was also FUD articles coming out saying, analysts saying they'll never make any money. There was shorters and all these different reports of short reports. There was, articles saying that they make less cars in a year than Toyota makes in a month. They'll never make it, blah, blah, blah. He's going against all odds. And then we had this bankruptcy FUD that was going on in Tesla as well. But again, if you just listen to the mainstream media, by the time they actually, but by the time we actually see the truth, the trade has really come and gone, right? Obviously, there was risks. Not saying there wasn't risks with Tesla, but look at how much the reward has really rewarded those who kept the faith and did their own research and just didn't listen to the Wall Street talking heads. Personally, I'm going to be doing the same with MJ and a lot of my other investments in crypto. We know that JP Morgan told its employees in 2018 that if it bought crypto or even talked about crypto to their clients, they'd be fired. And then it was later on proved that they were one of the biggest purchasers of crypto during that time. And now they're offering crypto to their clients, right? Complete hypocrites and manipulators and Wall Street crooks for as far as I'm concerned. But let me know in the comments below, do you think this has any relation to, do you think this could be applied to the MJ deal with Tilray and HEXO? Do you see the similarities there? Do you agree with me, disagree with me? If you do or if you don't, let me know why. Let's carry the conversation in the comments below. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. If you could, smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you're new, subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future updates. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you in the next video.